For coming. This is the first really hot Sunday we've had, and first time we've tried the AC since last fall, and it appears not to be up to the task. But we have Plan B. Use your programs. Also, I cut a lot out of the talk. I took a 30-minute talk and made it 20 minutes. So, just for you. I love to talk, so this is a sacrifice I made for you all. Okay. This is our email address, your comments, correspondence, feedback. Also, the program is very good for taking little creatures out, also, and releasing them in the wild. And our website is there also. Everything is inspired by the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder and charge of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Om Bhagana Vimanandasya Gananasavadya Tasurividam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruvedam Sri Chaitanya Vistam Sati Kavya Vitale Sayam Rupadramyam Yadati Swapanantikam. So our topic today is part of the process. Prabhupada, our spiritual master, used to point out as a foundational principle of our philosophy that every embodied living being suffers from 4 defects. Those are tendency to cheat, imperfect senses, subject to the illusion, and tendency to make mistakes. Every one of us subject to these 4 defects. That means, given enough time and circumstances, human failure is inevitable. And when it occurs, if we respond in the wrong way, it can even prove fatal. So how should we think about failing? We know it's not fun. It's often painful. But is there an upside to failure? In an article in the Harvard Business Review, author Amy Edmondson said, "The wisdom of learning from failure is incontrovertible. And yet organizations that do it well are extraordinarily rare. This gap is not due to a lack of commitment to learning, but to thinking about failure in the wrong way." We were building a temple in Salt Lake City. It opened in 2019. It took quite a while, it took like 4 years. And during that time, the construction site was an eyesore. You know, after the foundation was poured, there were tools scattered here and around, broken pieces of what do they call this? Sheetrock here and there. There was a big dumpster filling over with debris. Once we got the roof up, there were holes in the roof through which water would come and pool on the floor inside during the rains. And when the water would come, then there would be mud here and there, and the mud would be tracked back and forth by the workers coming and going. Building materials were stacked up. There were pallets. Everything looked chaotic, willy-nilly, out of place. In fact, the temple itself looked like a disaster area. In spite of all that, we didn't throw in the towel. We didn't give up. We didn't say, "Oh, boo-hoo, doesn't look like this is going to work out. Let's quit while we're behind. Let's stop. It's just too messy. This is never going to be what we want." No, we persisted, knowing it's all part of the process. You can't build a beautiful building without rain, without mud, without smelly paint, without piles of debris, without sheetrock dust. In the same way, we all have, what? Messy things in our life. We all have things that we struggle with, things that seem out of place. That just means that you're under construction. Doesn't mean that something beautiful is not going to come out of it. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to work out. Maybe, metaphorically speaking, there's water pooling in your future temple room. Maybe there are, metaphorically, tools scattered here and there, willy-nilly. Looks like a failed effort, but this is only the beginning. What looks disappointing, what looks untidy, what looks sloppy is just part of the process. Fact is that you can't become everything that you are meant to be without some messy interludes in your life. Now, to an untrained eye, a construction site looks unorganized, looks random, can look like a totally flopped, failed effort. But to the architect, none of that is a big deal. He's not in the least bit worried. He drew the plans. He knows exactly where everything is going to end up. Regardless of where it is now, he knows where it's supposed to go. This is a quote from Prabhupada, who built some magnificent temples during his lifetime and inspired us to continue that effort. Quote, "We are building temples and developing projects. Not only the finished buildings, but even the messes of construction en route are meant for helping us make spiritual advancement. They're meant to bring us closer to Krishna." Now, Krishna is the architect. He has a plan for your life. And the good news is the messy parts of his plan will not stop you from getting you to where he wants you to go. The delays, the things you don't understand, the failures, even your own mistakes, even your own bad choices in the past have already been taken into account. C.S. Lewis said, quote, "The enemy, whom we call Maya, sets people to becoming preoccupied with their failures. From then on, the battle is won for Maya, for illusion, because she's taken you out of action." But our message here today is to assure you that Krishna still has you right on schedule. You're not a finished product. You're still being worked on. And what God starts, he always brings to completion. Now, Maya, the enemy, the accuser, she'll whisper. That may be true for most people, but not you. You have too many flaws. You have too many weaknesses. You've made too many mistakes. You're way over your quota. But when you hear that voice of the accuser, and you're tempted to feel down and depressed and despondent, just remind her and yourself, part of the process. I'm under construction. Yeah, I may have some messy places, but God's not finished with me. I may not be there yet. I'm the first to admit that. But I'm not going to beat myself over that fact. I'm not going to live with negative recordings in my head. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm a masterpiece. I'm in progress. Maya says in response, we have this dialogue going on. She says, "But you still have that addiction." "Yes, but I'm under construction." "You still have that anger management problem. You still say things that you shouldn't." "Yeah, but I'm not as bad as I was last year. I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm coming up higher. And I know this. When that day is done, what Krishna has started, he's going to finish. So I'm looking beyond the mess to see the masterpiece." That sounded so nice. I'm going to say it again. Look beyond the mess to see the masterpiece. How do you go? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, Lord Krishna says this: "Prior to the cosmic creation, only I exist, no phenomenon, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything. And after annihilation, only I remain eternally. Therefore, the sages see me as the unifying force field transcending the so-called good and bad things of this material world." If you're going to be successful, you have to be prepared to see mistakes as stepping stones on the way. The problem is, while everybody would like to have success, while everybody dreams of success, nobody wants to get their hands dirty. They want to just wake up one morning and be successful without having worked for it. But I'm here today to tell you that getting messy is part of the process. It might be uncomfortable. You may not understand it. You may have brought a lot of that messiness on yourself by bad mistakes in the past. But when Krishna, God, designed the plan for your life, he took all that into account. Despite wrong choices, despite dysfunction, despite failures, I'm here today to tell you he can get you to where you need to go. Anybody have GPS? Have you ever heard, whenever possible, make a U-turn? That's what I'm talking about. God's positioning system. And none of this is an excuse to live a sloppy, undisciplined life. But if you keep in first place, and we do that by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare, you'll come to the point of knowing that to err is not only human, but it's also a necessary part of the process. Closed doors, mistakes, breakups, betrayals, they're the bridge between where you are present and where God wants to take you. Well, Drew, my situation is just too messy. I have water in my living room. I have mud on my floors. Hello? Just part of the process. Doesn't mean that God's not going to finish what he started. So my suggestion is, why don't you stop beating yourself up while you're under construction? When Krishna brings you to completion, when he delivers you from the addiction, when he turns your family around, he's not going to bring up your past mistakes and your weaknesses. He's not going to remind you of your failures. We all, without exception, every one of us, have messy places where we're under construction, but those are not going to keep us from becoming a masterpiece. They're temporary. Like when we built the temple in Salt Lake City, as well as here, there was a certain phase of construction where the whole building was surrounded by scaffolding. Every construction project needs scaffolding so the workers can get to where they need to get and to in place what they need to in place. But the first thing that happens once the building's finished, once the building's beautiful, is the scaffolding comes down. It's just a temporary arrangement to make a beautiful building. There's no instance in the history of the world when at the time of the grand inauguration, the grand opening, the ribbon cutting, that they left the scaffolding there. Scaffolding's gone by that point in time. So similarly, the messy situations, the dirty things, they're just like scaffolding. They're in place temporarily to get you to build the building blocks of your character, to make you the kind of person that Krishna wants you to be. So don't be your own worst enemy then by going through life focused on your failures, focused on the times you blew it. We already, I think you'll agree with me, have enough people and circumstances coming against us. We don't need, on top of all of that, to be against ourselves. Be at peace with being under construction. Maya will work overtime, reminding you of everything you've done wrong, trying to talk you out of your destiny. But instead of believing those lies, instead of going around guilty with no passion, how about turning it around? Lord, thank you that you're still working on me. I know I'm a mess, but I also know that I'm under construction. And I know that despite my shortcomings, despite my failures, you're still going to bring me to completion. Here's a point also. Where you are now is not that important. It's where you're going that's important. That mess, that bankruptcy, that divorce, that addiction, that legal situation, none of that can keep you from going where Krishna or God wants you to go. Just be open to Krishna making you and molding you. Stay flexible, stay pliable. Keep moving forward. We should be better next year than we are this year. We should be better this year than we were last year. Not letting the mess become permanent, the addiction, the hot temper, the negative attitude. That's where you are, but that's not who you are. There's nothing wrong with being under construction, but there is something very wrong with not making progress, with staying in the same place month after month, year after year, sitting, soaking, and eventually, inevitably, souring. Now do your part. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Be willing to change. If we do our part, then the good news is that the Almighty Lord, He'll then do His part. Krishna will help you to come up higher. One last example. If you ever lived in a large city, you probably had a chance to walk past a skyscraper under construction, right? We've all seen that happen. For the first 6 months of the project, now this is supposed to be 60 stories above ground. But the irony is that for the first few months of the project, it's like 30 stories below ground. It starts out with a huge hole in the ground. Fact is that to build a tall building, you first have to dig a deep hole. It seems counterintuitive, it seems unproductive, it seems crazy. But there is a good reason for that large hole. To build a mammoth building, it's first necessary to dig down so that you can make for that building a strong foundation. A foundation that's capable of holding up everything that's going to go skyward. If you're just putting a doghouse together in the backyard, nobody ever built a foundation for a doghouse. Or even an ordinary house. You need nothing more than a simple concrete slab. But a skyscraper, that's different. If you want to go up, you have to first go down. And the higher you go, the deeper you have to dig to get the most solid foundation. Similarly, it's that way in our spiritual life. Our upper potential is dependent on the foundation that we put in place beneath it. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation. And here's an irony. Once the building's there, once we're oohing and awing about the building, the foundation's no longer even visible. You can't see the foundation once the building is built. It's under the ground. And yet you could, at the same time, argue that that's the most important part. They couldn't build that huge tower if they hadn't taken those first few months to build a big foundation. Now, sometimes in our own lives, we know that we're supposed to be going up. We have big dreams, big promises, big ambitions in our heart. But it feels like we're going down instead of going up. It feels like we're not growing. It feels like we're not getting the good breaks. But what we may not realize is that Krishna is working on your character. He's working on your foundation. He's building your shoulders up so that when that break, that promotion comes, you'll be able to bear the burden. The blessing never comes without a burden. So if you want big blessings, then be open to Krishna building you up so you can have big shoulders to bear those burdens. Bottom line, the deeper the foundation, the higher and solid is the building. So don't be discouraged when things aren't happening in your timetable. Know what Krishna is doing, going down deep, hoping that you'll pass the tests. How do we do that? Be good to people who aren't being good to you. When you do that, your foundation is getting deeper. When you keep on the high road, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. You're getting to that point where Krishna decides, yes, he can handle responsibility. He can handle promotion. He can handle influence. To give you promotion, to give you influence, to give you leverage now, before you're able to handle it, wouldn't be a blessing, it would be a curse because you're not ready. Krishna has an 80-story building ready, designed for you. But what if you've only built a 10-story foundation? Or what if your foundation is only up to the 10-story level and you need to get a foundation that'll support more? So it's not going to come to you right away. If it came to you, it would be a great disservice. Don't fight the foundation work. Don't get sour because things aren't moving as fast as you'd like. There are things happening below the surface that you can't see. The foundation's getting deeper. Krishna's preparing to take you to higher levels. A wise person once said, at the end of the day, your feet should be dirty, your hair messy, and your eyes sparkling. You may have come into a messy situation. People may have come against you. You may have made mistakes. You may have had bad breaks, but Krishna brought you here so that I can tell you it's not over. It's all part of the plan. You're under construction. We're not going to understand everything that happens because God's ways are not our ways. But if you keep faith, keep chanting, keep honoring in your life, then what he started, he's going to bring to completion. In spite of having a rough childhood, in spite of someone walking out and breaking your heart, in spite of people trying to backbite you and discourage you from your dream, if you keep faithful, you're not going to miss Krishna's victory for your life. God has the final say. Tune out all those voices whispering, you blew it, you've had your chance, you're too young, you're too old. No, Krishna would not have allowed that if it was going to keep you from your destiny. It's all part of the process. One last story here from the Mahabharata. Yudhishthira lost his whole kingdom by playing a game of dice that he already knew was crooked. It was a colossally bone-headed move. It landed him, his brothers, and their wife in exile for 13 years, after which they had to come out and fight a huge battle to get their kingdom back. And even though at many points during their exile it looked hopeless, Yudhishthira knew this truth. Krishna's stories, for those who keep him first place, they always end well. So if things are not well at this moment in your life, that means it's not the end. If there are things holding you back, things out of place, things that are too messy, that means that you're under construction. Don't get discouraged. Krishna's still working. After 13 years of exile, the Pandavas came back. They fought the battle. They defeated their enemies. And they not only recovered what they'd lost, but they got back twice what they'd had before their troubles. You can't find any place in any scripture where someone did something significant and they didn't have messy places. They didn't have times that wasn't fair. They didn't make mistakes. They didn't feel like giving up. They didn't feel unqualified. But when it all came together, every different element, ingredient of that recipe, it made perfect sense. They went from construction to completion. Now, here's the key. You can't judge the construction process without the what? Plans. You may think, I'm done, true, I'm finished, I've made too many mistakes, I've missed my destiny, it's never going to happen. If you had the plans, and that's what the plans concluded, well, you'd be right. I'd be the first one to agree with you. But the problem is, you don't have the plans. God says, I have a plan for you, and it's for good, not harm, to give you a future and a hope. It does not end in defeat. Your life does not end in addiction, nor in mediocrity, nor dysfunction. Your story ends in victory. Sometimes we see people victorious, healthy, happy, blessed, fulfilling their purpose, loved by their family, and you might think things just fell into place. No, you came into the theater in the end of the movie. You missed the beginning, you missed the middle. Every person, without exception, has to go through the construction process. No exceptions. They didn't get to where they were at the end of the movie without the middle of the movie and the beginning of the movie. There were things happened to them they didn't understand. There were people trying to stop them. But the difference is, They learned to trust Krishna in the process. So will you do the same? Trust the Lord, your Heavenly Father, your Creator, while you're under construction, while you're in the messy places, when it doesn't make sense. Now I wonder if instead of complaining about the mess, instead of being discouraged by what didn't work out, what if we would turn all that energy around and say, Krishna, I want to thank you that nothing can stop your plan for my life. I want to thank you that what you ordained for me is on the way. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One last short story. We built this log house. I don't know if you see it. It's about 100 yards away. Before this temple or Spanish work or Salt Lake Ranch. The first place we had our Sunday feast gatherings were in 1987 in the log house that's at the other end of this property. So we went ahead, my good friends Madhu and Batsal were here, and we all worked to put this log house together. And after the construction was finished, all the light switches had been installed, the floors were laid, the heating and the AC was installed, the kitchen appliances were, the washing machine, everything was all hooked up. There's only one thing that was incomplete. Can anyone guess? Right. The power was not hooked up. We paid the electrical deposit to the power company, and we go over every night to test all the connections. Without power, the house was too hot during the day. Without power, it was too cold at night. There were thousands of dollars worth of machines which are all useless. No running water, cooking was impossible, building wasn't much good for anything. Finally, after a few days, the power connected, the lights worked, the water ran, the laundry, the showers, the heating, the AC, the appliances, oven, stove, washing machine, dryer. As soon as that power switched on, everything came together perfectly. Everything made sense. Everything converged to take us to a higher level than we'd ever been before. And that's when we started having 45 years ago, these Sunday gatherings at 5 o'clock, 7th day of the week. Well, I believe that if you've kept God first place, you're about to come into one of these connections. You're just on the cusp of it. You've been skirting around it. You've been diligent. You have been beat up, you have had messy places, but you have not stopped in all of that honoring God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. You've jumped from one failure to another, from one negative to another, without any loss of enthusiasm, to quote Winston Churchill. You've learned a valuable life lesson that negative is not failure. Negative is the bridge to success. Negative is the bridge to cross over from the place of death to the life of eternality, from the dark world to the world of light, from the temporary world to the eternal world. You're about to make all those transitions with joy. You're about to cross over because of your faith. In all of this, your character is becoming higher. You're becoming more and more eligible to go back home and associate with the all-good Lord. Krishna is now about to flip the switch. Suddenly the doors are going to open. Suddenly the healing is going to come. Suddenly the right person shows up. Suddenly the temple gets built. You're about to go from construction to completion. Things that were hindering you, you're now coming out on the other side of them, better off like the Pandavas than you were before, wiser than you were before, more faithful and trusting than you were before. Despite mistakes you have made, you are still on track to fulfill your destiny and become everything that God created you to be in this life, next life, to go back to home, back to God. Not 20 minutes, but not 30 minutes either. Anybody who's not awake, wake up. If you like, Raise your arms with me, and we'll all say together, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much for putting up with the heat. I know it's tough, but now we can move and sway and create a few breezes during the arti if you like. Thank you. We thought we'd do a little dance after the arti, but actually if you just want to settle right back down again, we have Pregomani here, and we're going to have a special little treat for you. So this will take about 3 minutes. Pregomani's visited us from New York. She came for the Ogden Festival, which was on May 24th. And she's also going to be one of our key performers for the festival in Salt Lake City a week from yesterday. So go ahead and just have a seat. It's a short piece, but you'll enjoy it more if you're comfortable and you're sitting down. Yeah, we're all ready. So this is the Bhagavad Gita in 3 minutes. Song of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Song of the Supreme, Krishna streams to his team member Arjuna, the cream of all the devotees. Arjuna, the things you do every day, the gifts you give, every taste of veggie dish, offer me with love, I see your soul enriched. Cup of water makes me smile like a drinking ocean. Flower, fruit, leaf, or vine that offered in devotion. Keeping me in the center of your karma will never interfere. Because the loving devotional service is the dharma of the spiritual atmosphere. I don't play any favorites. Everyone gets what they desire. So if someone longs for me and bhakti, I'm naturally inspired. Even if you miss on a time or two, I won't make any complaint. Just write something in because still shine like a saint. The undiluted souls, Mahatmas, no reality of feeling my protection, the flow of their affection comes to me. They sing my sacred names, a voice of sweet, and stake their rightful claims at my lotus feet. I seek, maintain, and shelter all. I am the seat of everything. I'm everyone's best friend at the beginning, middle, and end. Arjuna tells people boldly, Christian devotee never dies. Men and women, high and lowly, everyone's equal in my eyes. Anyone who comes to me will never be denied. Bhakti Yoga will set you free. Success is guaranteed. Stick with me, become my devotee, and you will live with me eternally. Arjuna, no truth exists besides myself. Do not be misled. Everything rests upon me as pearls on a thread. I'm the taste of water, the light, the sun, and the moon, the silver alone, the strength, and the strong. I'm the forest fire, bright red, the blazing sunset on the alphabet from A to Z. I, the Paramatma, dwelling within everyone's heart, I'm the life of all that lives, the ending, middle, and start. I'm the sacred Vishnu of all sorts of lights. I'm the glowing sun, stars, and moon at night. I am Kandarpa, God of love, like Indra with his bow. Cows, I am Sunami, who gives milk and limitless love. Of hymns, I am Gayatri. Of seasons, I am spring. Of months, I am November, the time of peace and harvesting. The Himalayan mountains, unshakable, unbreakable, indicate me. I'm the unlimited, endless ocean. Vegetation, I am the banyan tree. Of beasts, I am a lion. Of men, I am the king. I am Yama, Lord of Death, who judges everything. Of weapons, I am a thunderbolt. Of conquerors, I am time. Of rivers, I am the Ganges, flowing.
liquid and sublime. I am the wind that purifies the spirit apart from the flesh. I'm logic, pure, concise. I am all devouring death. All this is but an indication there is no end to my manifestations. Every art and beautiful creation springs from the spark of my radiation. What need to go on Arjuna with a more exhaustive list? Tiny spark of me pervades and supports all that exists. Because I create the dual worlds of spirit and flesh, the wise prioritize my service, keeping their hearts forever fresh. My pure devotees think of me, follow me all the time, discussing me incessantly. I am theirs, they are mine. Because they serve with love and never swerve aside. For within their hearts I cause ignorance to subside. The wattage, transcendental knowledge, I shine from within so bright. And a deep fervent affection. I guide them. I guide them. I guide them to the light. Thank you. That was wonderful, Freeman. Okay, you can stand up again. We're going to have our tea. And if you like that, there'll be a lot more wonderful music and next Saturday at our Salt Lake campus from 11 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the evening.